warming up my voice for a freaking year now. Anyways, I hope you all had a fantastic day, because yesterday was the worst. Well, not really the worst day, just a very sour day. It's not the worst day, just a very sour day. Uh, if you don't know what happened, we had no power since almost a.m. and we finally received power 10 p.m. So basically, so much of ours, you could say, we spent having no power. Now, it may seem like, what's the big deal? But basically, a lot of things don't really work well without power. Hope you knew that, because it does suck when you have no power. It really does suck. It's unfortunate because um, so much is connected to the online space. Without power, you're not. And obviously, the neighborhood did not have power, so we were all struggling. And we kept thinking it's gonna come back 1 o'clock, 3, 4. Around 6 o'clock to order food. So we ordered McDonald's, fancy food. um, Very fancy food, in fact. Pretty fact, compared to other restaurants, McDonald's have the best for the lowest prices. Basically it. The milkshake was so good. I ordered a milkshake and that seemed to never run out. It's so fascinating, honestly. So moving on, I had no idea what was going on yesterday. No idea what people spoke about yesterday. I don't know. I missed a worth of content. I missed so many people's channels, so much important information, all missed. Interesting, because you stay one day out of the loop, the next day you come back and it's just so different. You're thinking, what the heck is going on? I don't know if anything major happened yesterday, but still, small news. So let me check my subscriptions out, see what people are talking about. Okay, so nothing interesting. Well, this is all today's stuff, so it's kind of not really important. I mean, it is important for today, but tomorrow. I mean, yesterday. Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. There's so much of news I missed yesterday, and it's kind of sad when you miss so much. I just expected out like for 2 or 3 hours. Okay, let me count the hours. So the way I count is in between. So 9 to 10, 1. It actually stopped before 9 o'clock, but we just to 10 because it's better that way to keep track. Um, okay, never mind. This is gonna be. I need a pencil to count all of this, but basically from 9 a.m. or 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's how long we had no power. It was so annoying because I wanted to do, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I was order, and I couldn't check the order because I needed Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi runs on power, not fairy dust. So it's unfortunate I had to be so worried about my order at the same time when it'll come. But it finally arrived. It actually arrived around midday, and I was very because I was worried. What if they give a different message? How I receive it without Wi-Fi? Thank goodness my order was fine, but a lot of people did not have good meals yesterday. People missed out on possibly lunch, and if people were at work during that time, they come back to a cold, a very sour. Everything was pitch black. Honestly, everything was so dark, and across houses in the back. they had lights. They had so much of lights. So obviously those were the only lights we had, and they were so far off. You had to SP them. They did not really do anything. But overall, I felt got the power back. I never expected it to come late. That's just very disappointing. So let's keep going. Let's see what news I missed yesterday. Videos, a lot of videos. 5 hours ago. Okay. We need to go back like 8 hours ago. Correct? 9 hours ago. So you have 7 hours ago. You have okay, what's this? A lot of interesting videos. Uh ooh, Babylon B is going to be live 12th. Today is the 12th live premiering. Okay. Have hmm, what's this? Nickelodeon amount are trying to harm children with okay. I don't know what that video is, but it's crazy how most of these kid channels took woke over the past few years, and that's all they could hold is wokeness, wokeness, wokeness. Remember when they made SpongeBob asexual? Was it asexual? No, no, not asexual. Bisexual. Or was it pansexual? I can't remember. I can't remember all these weird sexualities, but they made him one of those things. Now the thing is that SpongeBob had a relationship with his job. He was married to his job, not married to someone else. So yeah, it sounds harsh to say that, but that's it. He just loved his job more than anything else. He did not care about love, you know? The dude tried to marry a Krabby Patty, okay? He loves his job. Just remember that. He's a workaholic. Why is it that now we must make everyone sexual for some reason? And the new SpongeBob episodes are not that good. I'm sorry, but they're terrifying, horrifying. They're really spooky to watch. I would never watch them. They ruined Patrick Star. Remember, Patrick Star used to be so smart, but also at the same time really ridiculous. Okay? He was an encouraging friend at times. He was not a bad person, a bad influence. Remember the episode with the doctor? SpongeBob had the suds and he wanted to go to the doctors, but unfortunately, um, Patrick had his own belief and he was just terrified of SpongeBob going. He was a caring person. He didn't stop SpongeBob from going to the doctors because he's stupid. He stopped because he misunderstood what the doctors were, and his fear got the best of him, and he not pretended, he protected SpongeBob. He protected SpongeBob by trying to treat him. He did not want him to go because he cared for SpongeBob. I'm just saying, modern Patrick is just too stupid to do anything. He's so ignorant, doesn't care about anyone else at all. And that's the problem. They made Patrick really ridiculous. Now the characters make these funny faces all the time for every second. Why? That's not funny. That's just terrifyingly sad, you know? Like they could save so much money if they just don't do all those weird faces. People complained about season 7, 8, and 6, but where are the complaints about the modern seasons? Come on, the modern seasons are actually worse. You can digest season 6, 7, and all the others till like 9, and then the rest it just turns sour. I'm sorry for being so blunt, but this is the truth. Modern SpongeBob is not that great. It's not that great. It's terrifying. Oh, they brought back a couple of characters. That doesn't change anything. It does not change anything. Bringing back Bubble Bass does not change anything when the quality of the writing is terrible. The quality of the animation may look very good, but why are they doing such silly faces? It just ruins the entire experience altogether. I remember getting so hyped for the 20th anniversary of SpongeBob. I watched it back in 2019 and I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. It was the weirdest thing I've ever watched. And SpongeBob, yes, was known for being weird at certain times, but there was always jokes to it. There's always jokes to it. There was nothing so abnormal. So this the 20th episode, the 20th, not 20th episode, the uh, 20th year anniversary. The 20th year anniversary was just the worst one of the worst episodes because here's the thing, they're trying to do the special with the real characters, with the real voice actors. I love that scene. That scene was the best out of the entire episode. They also brought back a couple of characters like Mindy from the movie, from the first movie. But the other thing, she was just a background character. When they showed her in a trailer and all the promotional material, people got excited. People were hyping it up so much. I'm sorry, but she had not a role in this. She was just a background character. That's basically it. She was just a background character. It really is sad. Really is sad, honestly. 8 hours ago. Okay, let's go to 9 hours or 10. I'm just saying modern SpongeBob is not that great. It's sad because it's such a good show. The early episodes were so good. They were the best of the best. You can still be an adult and watch the old episodes of SpongeBob because they were so funny to watch. You could get the humor. The humor was not something so childish. It was something somewhat, you know, you could say mid. It wasn't adult. It wasn't childlike. It was just something in between. It was so good. Season 11 was peak modern SpongeBob. For me, I just don't like all of the recent seasons. I'm just not a fan of the recent seasons. I like, season one, two, I think four is okay, but like that's it. That's it. I never watched the third SpongeBob movie. I never watched it. I should watch it. I should watch it, but then again, I've heard some terrible things about it, so I don't know if I would watch it. I did watch the second movie of SpongeBob. In fact, I have a DVD of it. I have a DVD somewhere in this. I have to look for it. But I have a DVD of the movie, and yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I found it. Okay, I'm just gonna take it out with two hands. Okay, yeah, it is. I watched this movie way back in the day, a couple months after it came out, and I remember watching it the final day of my exams. Now, when this came out, this was so fascinating. Now you watch it a couple of times, it kind of gets boring, dull. The first SpongeBob movie, even though you watch it a couple of times, it still feels interesting. There's so much of jokes, and over here it just felt more of a battle scene than anything else. So yeah, you heard of the new Sandy movie? I've heard of it, but I'm not gonna watch it because I'm tired of anything modern with SpongeBob. They ruined SpongeBob. So I'll just stick to the old stuff because the old was so good. I don't think there'll ever be another show like SpongeBob, so interesting for both adults and children. There will never be a show like that. And modern shows, modern Nickelodeon shows, are so, you could say, gross. I remember watching Sanjay and Craig, and that show was the most disgusting show I've ever watched. Shows these days are all about gross humor. I think it's the safest humor these days for children, but even so, it's just terrible. It really is terrible. SpongeBob thrived because it wasn't gross in the early seasons, it was just funny. I think there's this obsession with children's cartoons and trying to make them very grossed out. I don't like that because all the quality runs away. So this movie was watchable at first, but after watching it like six, seven times, it gets dull, boring. But I really love the animation of it. The animation quality is so good, so good. Even the 3D, it's so good. So I really like the animation. It's something that I really admire of this movie. This was back in 2015 when I was grade 7. Wow, I can't believe time flies so fast. You ever browse slash co slash wait, what does that mean? Comics and cartoons. Oh, comics and cartoons. I have browsed on 4chan a couple of times, mostly to find a couple of leaks, but I never really searched for anything else because 4chan always has all of the leak gameplay footage for some reason, so I would check that website out for anything important, but other than that, I don't really check it out. I've been avoiding a lot of websites when it comes to certain topics. When it comes to comics and stuff, I try my best not to look because sometimes I want to be fresh with my ideas. So this is why I don't really buy a lot of manga. I don't really do a lot of anime watching recently because I want my ideas to be fresh, and if I just keep consuming everything, then I won't I won't feel original because I'm trying my best to kind of keep myself without watching too much so those ideas won't really inspire me because anytime you watch something those ideas are fresh in your mind and subconsciously they will make your mind different and they can change whatever I have. So I think it's best, to kind of not watch those things, but after when I'm finished with my projects, I can get them watched or read different comics because there's some really good manga I would like to read. There's some really good anime I would love to watch, but it's unfortunate that I'm so focused on my own ideas that I just feel like I have to be more on my ideas than watching something else. Because it's very difficult for me to watch new things. It's very difficult for me to watch new things and enjoy it without those ideas rubbing me off and then inspiring my next work. It's not a bad idea to be inspired, it's just that I don't want those ideas to be permanently in my head. Then I would just only think about that. And it's really crazy because anytime I watch something, those ideas are so permanent, and then I end up subconsciously working and writing certain ideas so similar. I'm trying to I see. Do you write comics books slash do you write books slash comics? I am working on a couple of books. I want to work with comic books as well because I have a couple of ideas for those comic books. Because everything is a different format. When you write a comic book, the story will be somewhat similar but different. If I write a novel, I have more time to you could say write things in more detail. But when it comes to comic books, you have to draw things very quickly. You don't want to keep on one specific frame or one specific arc for so long. You want to keep moving and moving. So comic books have a lot of movement, and when it comes to novels, I can be a bit more slow with that. I can be more detailed with that. So if I write a specific story and then I turn it into a comic book, it's going to be very different. So some ideas I keep away just for comic books, some ideas I keep just for books, because comic books, some of those books can be really short, really good, and I want people to get into that. So obviously I won't waste time with comic books. So I'll make sure everything gets done quickly. I have a superhero comic book concept. I've been working with it since 2019, and ever since then, I've been so excited about it. But I haven't gotten started to working with it. I have to first at least build up some revenue because it's kind of hard to do things without having the proper equipment. I would love to get the best drawing tablets out there, the best computers out there, just so I can work. It is very difficult to get into so much of art without having the proper equipment. Even paper costs so much these days. But I will get into comic books. I will at least publish a couple of them because they're kind of cool to have. But some of my comics, I want them to be colored. I don't mind black and white. It's just that I want some of my comic books to be colored. I want it to be different. I want it to be like this, like these comic books, like these comic books. Now, I did have a couple more other comic books years ago, like the Archie comics, but I don't know what happened to them. Overall, I would love my comic books to be colored like this, you know, very detailed at times, but it also depends on the style as well. Because I would like to change styles for different stories. Some stories will have more of a Western drawing. Some stories might have more of a anime style. Some stories might have like, just different styles altogether. Because I like to be different at times. But overall, I would love to have a big comic like this worth a couple hundred pages or maybe even like 30 or 40 pages because with this big of a comic, you can tell so much within a couple of pieces of paper. But that's important. You have to be fast about telling the story. Compared to a book, I can take an entire chapter to write one entire arc. But with a comic book, I have to at least get everything done within like 5, 6 pages. And you have to be creative about it too. I don't want panels, simple panels all the time. I want to kind of change different panels, make people feel like it's very engaging, make them come back to the creativity of the panels because even the panels, even these things, these borders are pretty important when it comes to art. It's super important. I know with manga, it starts from right to left. So if I make comics, I'm gonna start with left to right because it's something I'm used to. But I will obviously write on the book starts from left to right because I do have an international audience from all over the world, and manga is very consumable compared to modern comics. So I'm sure a lot of people are used to manga starting from right to left. So I will have to have a little description saying start left from right. Sounds a bit silly, but um, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to have that in. If everyone's used to manga, then modern comics just become terrible, and no one wants to know the format of modern comics. So these are the two stories that I really love. They're really fun to read, but it's kind of unfortunate that I don't have more because there are so many other types of books for this Asterix and Obelix. There's so many types of these comics, and I've only received two. Like this panel, this specific piece of uh, drawing is so detailed. The one thing I know about these type of comics is that the font is so diminutive and the, just the lines, you know, the movement, the lines of movement, it's so detailed. I really like it. I do have a couple of politically incorrect concepts, but the problem is I don't think it'll ever get done because where am I going to post it without getting banned? I want to make money out of it, but where am I going to post it? I have this really fun idea. I might have to make an animation about it. It's basically about a family. It's about a family, and the father comes out as trans, and the entire family must cope about it. And it's a very funny, interesting concept I have, but I know very much I will get banned if I post something like that on YouTube. If I make it into a comic, it will be good, but then most, not even comic book sites, but most websites won't allow it. So it's very difficult to be very creative these days. It's very difficult. Some of my politically incorrect ideas consist of making fun of certain types of people, and I want to make fun of all types of people. My side, the other side. It's good to have a laugh. It's very good to have a laugh and make fun. Look at these types of comics. These types of comics will never be published today because the way they stereotype certain people, like these are the Native Americans. They're not treated as monsters, they're treated as regular people, but some of their some of their chants and stuff is somewhat stereotyped, and it's made to make fun of Asterix and Obelix trying to understand this culture. But I can guarantee you that this book would never be published today because it would be deemed offensive. I don't want to just make fun of stereotypes. I want to make fun of different types of things, and it's good to make fun of stuff at times. People need more laughter. These days, people are only told to laugh at a certain side. You're not allowed to laugh at the other side. Okay. But anyways, I think these comics are really good. Oh, what are they doing? Look at that. Look at that signal. Oh wow. Oh wow. Definitely this would not be posted in modern times. I'm sorry if you can't see it, but they're doing that specific what do people call it? I don't know, but yeah. Oh yeah, the Roman salute. I know it's from a historical standpoint it's different, but in modern times people will not want that. Regardless of history, they will not want to see that. Unfortunately, it's so difficult to make comics if you have politically incorrect ideas. Someone like me can easily get involved with Marvel and DC because of my simple, you could say, transness. But I guarantee you that um, if they found out my politics, I would be banned in an instant. I could easily infiltrate Marvel and DC and and obviously, ruin all the characters as if it were never ruined at all. It's sad to see how such titans of the comic book industry get destroyed by a couple of people who don't give crap about comics. Marvel is failing, DC is failing, and any comic you pick up, it's always about some kind of social justice thing. It's not about fighting bad guys. It's all about social justice. Just remember, if someone wrote a conservative story with those characters, they would be fired. So yeah, I'm just saying, the double standards are ridiculous. I, I don't know what else to say. I feel so bad for DC and Marvel fans because they grew up with something so good and now it's turning so sour. Even the movies are terrible. Marvel movies are losing quality, and DC, they have no idea what they're wanting to do. They don't know if they want to make really good movies or really terrible movies. I feel bad because DC has some of the best heroes, and they just don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with it. I don't know who's gonna play Superman now. Don't know. But I'm not interested anymore because I'm so tired of them rebooting so much of stuff. It's just been like a decade since they made Man of Steel. I'm not waiting. I'm not gonna waste a couple more years watching another Man of Steel clone or whatsoever. We've seen the Superman story 100 times in recent years. If they made a Superman movie in the next 100 years, it would be okay. But the fact that they're making these type of movies, the same movies, rebooting them every decade, it sucks. It really sucks. It really sucks. Okay, so. Oh wow, look at all the dust on the bed. So this was my order. I ordered this yesterday. Well, not yesterday, a couple of weeks ago. And it finally arrived. So this is the special extended edition for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Someone came. I don't know who's that. Let me just mute this. Okay, I don't know who's that. I don't know who came. But anyways, we're just gonna continue talking. So I might have to end the video, I think. I think we have to end the video. But anyways, this is basically the entire extended edition. There were Blu-ray versions, but they were very expensive, 1,000 rands each. This was the cheapest I could find, and these are like the very old versions. Okay, so it has a very beautiful artwork, and the way it opens up is so beautiful. So two of these are the movie, and the other two are behind the scenes. It also comes with this cool little pamphlet. Okay. It's so fascinating to have something like this. Now, if I afforded the Blu-ray version, I could have easily gotten it because the Blu-ray version came with both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and all of them are extended editions. If I afforded it, I could have purchased it. It just sucks that I couldn't afford it right now, so I got this instead because it was going on sale. This is secondhand, by the way. So this type of stuff is all secondhand. I checked the quality of the disc. There's no scratches or barely any scratch at all. So I think the person who sold me this barely watched these movies. Now, for some people, these movies aren't that great, but for me, these are the best movies in history. They're so good to watch. Now, I've been reading the books as well. It's just that the books are more superior than the movies, obviously. Nothing can beat the books because the books have so much more fun moments. It's so good. Whoa. It still has that new smell. You know when you purchase products for the first time, everything smells so brand new? It has that type of smell. I also love the artwork on the DVD and behind as well. It's really beautiful. So it's kind of difficult to take the DVD out and put it back in. But as you can see, there's no scratches. Well, you can't see it so clearly, but I have not found a scratch on these, so I'm glad I got this. I was worried about the quality of it. What if it was very dirty inside? I was so worried, but there were just a couple of like damages here and a little damage on this one, but the DVDs are good quality. So I'm gonna watch them today. I'm gonna watch them. I recently watched this on YouTube because you can rent movies and watch them on YouTube. So I rented it, I watched it in 4K quality. It's okay, it's an okay quality. So I'm going to watch this next. There are 4K versions of these movies. Problem is they're more expensive than the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is so cheap, but it's just unfortunate that it was out of my price range. So when I showed this to my sister yesterday, she was disappointed because she said she was going to buy me these movies, not the set, but a different set. And I wonder what set she could have purchased because there were so many versions. There were extended versions, there were regular versions. So I wondered which version she was planning to buy because my birthday is coming up in a month. So, yeah. When I look at this scene, all I think about is Rings of Power because it looks so similar to the Rings of Power and the background and the art. It's a bit disappointing how the series was just so terrible for many fans because they were so focused on diversity. The first piece of articles that ever came out was about diversity and Rings of Power. It was not about the characters, it was not about the details, it was all about diversity. It was all about that, and they failed tremendously because they only advertised on that. All of these websites were praising them on diversity, not talking about the story, anything like that. Amazon did not even give any word of the story. They were very quiet about it. So, yeah, Rings of Power Season 2 is coming out possibly next year or the other year. I don't even know. Honestly, I'm surprised people were able to watch those episodes because they were like, what, 50 minutes long? That's a lot. That's a lot of time. And basically, they made up their own stuff. They made up a lot of their own content because it was based on the appendices, and the appendices are basically quite long, but at the same time, they did not follow the appendices because if you look at this book, if you look at the book, the appendices is quite long, but even so, you can't make like couple of 5 seasons out of it. So this much you can't make 5 seasons out of, you know? And plus they weren't even following it so much, so what's the point of even making the show if you're not going to follow most of the source material? They were very light on the source material, and they did insert modern politics. I'm surprised so many people did not call it out because they inserted such major political nonsense into the show. Only a couple of people pointed it out. Rest of them did not even care about pointing it out. It's very sad. It is very sad. But overall, you're gonna get more movies from Warner Bros. I don't trust them. There's nothing wrong with David Zaslav. It's just that they are now focused on all of their old IPs because they need money. And plus, there's a writer's strike going on, so I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if Hollywood will ever get itself back together, but this is a time to tell people that you don't have to survive only on Hollywood for entertainment. The modern woke Hollywood will continue to push and pander 24/7, there are a lot of other people trying to build up their own communities and make movies. And what else can I say? Um, People like, the Daily Wire, they're working on series right now, which is pretty fascinating because they're working on a fantasy series too. So that's going to be interesting. I hope there's a couple of dragons in that because that'll be awesome. Basically, the Pendragon cycle, I think that's what it's called, the Pendragon cycle or something else. Whatever it was called, it's basically it's basically fantasy, and I really hope they get it right. I'm tired of seeing terrible woke fantasy shows. I'm tired of that. I'm really tired of that. When I work on my stories, I sometimes make my characters very traditional, and this isn't me forcing them to be traditional. I end up writing them traditional as if it was so natural, and there's no problem with writing traditional characters. I can write a housewife, I can write a working father, I can write a lot of things, you know? The problem is that how acceptable will it be in modern times? If you read The Lord of the Rings, the book, there's not much female action going on, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having no male presence most of the time or no female presence most of the time. It's just what the author intended. If the author wrote certain characters a certain way, then you have to accept it. For generations, people accepted the past was the past, and that's it. But now people can't stand that. You can't write a story about a man saving a woman because that's offensive. You can't write about a woman being feminine because that's offensive. So what can you write about? Mostly boring stories. Most of the stories these days are so boring and sad. And the worst part is that they're going to continue making terrible stories, terrible remakes. Disney is the king of remakes. And, well, not because they do good remakes, because that's all they do right now is remakes. So Disney doing a lot of remakes isn't surprising, but what's surprising is that they're very racist towards the remakes. Because if you notice what movies they're remaking when it comes to white characters, they're not adding white characters. They're hiring non-white characters to play white roles. And the thing is that they're not colorblind casting either. They're not colorblind casting, they're prioritizing um, non-white roles. So basically, they are not colorblind casting. They are basically casting based on color, and it's sad how you can't point it out these days. So remember, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is yet to come. They were working on it since 2021, and I can guarantee you that it's not going to be the same Snow Whites from the Disney version. It's going to be something totally different. And there's not going to be any kiss because it's now offensive to have kisses, okay? You're not allowed to wake up with a kiss. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to say the word dwarf. So what are they going to call them? The seven little inclusive people. And most of them aren't going to be men. Most of them are going to be some weird gender mix. So guess what? That's what's going to happen. Snow White's not going to be about the most fairest of them all because that's offensive in modern times. The fairest of them all. It's offensive to say the fairest of them all. I'm surprised, you know. But anyways, I'm just saying that you can't write stories without getting backlash. You can't write things without getting treated differently, unless you write your characters to be totally like certain people in California. Then then you just then you just won't make money. Everything has to be like California. Everything, everyone's culture has to be like California. Honestly, it's so embarrassing. If you think about it, that's what most movies are now for. Californians, not for around the world. They just make movies for Californians and that's it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna watch The Two Towers now, and I'm gonna see the quality of it because it is a pretty old DVD. So, yeah. Anyways, have a fantastic Friday. Bye.